Okay, so you really want to understand global trade, like right now.
And you want to get it right.
You want to get it right.
That's it.
We got you.
We do.
All right. We've got a ton of information from globaltradenews.us, and we're going to break it down today.
That's our mission.
That's our mission. Our deep dive today is going to give you a clear understanding of global trade based entirely on their reporting.
So, global trade, the first thing to understand is that it's really just the exchange of goods and services
Across borders.
across international borders.
Yeah. So I buy something from Canada that's global trade.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so that's but what about the why?
So, the why is interesting because it gets into a few key things.
Okay.
First, you got different resources in different places.
Like some places got a bunch of oil.
Exactly. One country might have a whole lot of oil, another's got amazing farmland, so they're going to trade.
Makes sense.
And then there's this whole idea of specialization.
Okay.
Countries get really good at making certain things really efficiently.
So they just make a ton of it and then trade it.
Exactly. It makes sense to trade those specialties with other countries.
Makes sense to me. Okay, so then what about technology? Does that play a role?
Huge role.
Really?
Absolutely. Think about shipping. Think about communication.
Okay.
All those advancements have made it way easier to trade across huge distances.
Yeah, that's true. It used to take weeks to get something from across the world.
Right.
Now it's like 2 days.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got all this stuff moving around the world. What's the benefit? Like, what's the good stuff that comes out of it?
Well, one of the biggest things is economic growth.
Okay.
When countries can trade with more places, it can really boost their economies.
So, like, they make more stuff, they sell more stuff.
Exactly. More jobs, more opportunities.
And for, like, regular people like me, what does it mean?
More stuff to choose from.
Like, I can get my shoes from Italy.
Exactly. Or your coffee from Colombia.
Yeah, and hopefully better prices.
That's the idea. With more competition, prices can go down.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. But we all know there's got to be some downsides, right?
Yeah.
It can't be all sunshine and roses.
Right. There are some potential issues.
Okay, like what?
Well, competition can be tough.
Okay.
If you've got a business in one country and suddenly you're facing a bunch of new competitors from overseas.
Yeah. It could be hard to keep up.
Exactly. And then there's the whole thing about trade imbalances.
Imbalances.
Yeah, like when a country imports way more than it exports.
So they're buying a lot more from other countries than they're selling.
Right, and that can sometimes cause economic problems.
Okay, and then there's probably a bunch of rules and regulations and
Oh,
stuff. I
wait,
mean,
that's a big one.
every country's got to be different.
Exactly. What's allowed in one place might be totally banned in another.
Yeah, that sounds like a headache for businesses trying to navigate all that.
It definitely adds complexity.
All right, so we've got this global trade thing happening, driven by resources, specialization technology.
But it's not just a free-for-all.
Right. There's got to be some kind of structure, right? Some rules of the road. So what does globaltradenews.us say about that?
Well, they talk a lot about trade agreements.
Like deals between countries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They set the terms for how trade is going to work between them.
Okay. They probably mentioned those international organizations too, right?
Oh, yeah. You got the WTO, the World Trade Organization,
Right, the IMF.
the International Monetary Fund. They all have a role to play.
They're trying to keep things running smoothly.
Right. They help facilitate trade and resolve disputes.
Now, one thing I'm curious about is whether globaltradenews.us talks about different viewpoints on global trade.
That's a good question.
Because it seems like there are a lot of different opinions out there, right?
Absolutely.
Some people are all for it, some people are against it.
Right. And globaltradenews.us, they kind of show you both sides.
Right.
You'll see articles about the huge economic benefits, but then they'll also cover stories about the potential downsides.
Like what?
Like concerns about worker exploitation in some countries or the environmental impact of all this shipping and transportation.
That's interesting. So they're not really pushing one side or the other.
Not really. They present the information and let you draw your own conclusions.
That's fair. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? What have we learned from globaltradenews.us? Yes.
I think the big picture is that global trade is this complex system driven by a bunch of different factors.
Like the things we talked about, the resources, the specialization, the technology.
Exactly. It has the potential to create a lot of good.
Economic growth, more choices for consumers,
Right. But it also comes with challenges.
competition, trade imbalances, all those rules and regulations.
Yeah. And it's important to remember that there are different perspectives on the whole thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so here's a final thought for you as we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Given everything we've learned about global trade,
Mhm.
what do you think is the single biggest thing that's going to change it in the next few years?
Hmm.
Maybe technology.
Mm.
Maybe something else entirely.
It's a good question.
I don't know the answer, but it's something to think about. And if you want to learn more about global trade and all its complexities, check out globaltradenews.us.
They've got a lot of great information there.
Yeah, we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See